the sound. Ringo TV. Ringo TV. Ringo TV.
Welcome to another edition of Black Male Advice TV. I'm your host, Ringo. Make sure you click the like button, subscribe, and support the content.
Welcome, brothers and sisters, to another edition of Black Male Advice TV. I'm your host, Ringo. Today we have a very, very important show. The Most High is good. And in my quest of being on my square and doing what I got to do as a man, I study a lot of things. I communicate with other brothers. I talk with the Most High. And I have many times where I ask for wisdom on how to do things and how to move in these streets. And the Most High revealed things. And I pretty much came across some information that I gathered and I understood fully, and I know how to do what I need to do. At the same time, I feel that I have a moral obligation. I don't feel that the information that was given to me is just for me. A lot of times we get information and we feel that it's something we need to just keep to ourselves. The truth of the matter is, even if you learn this information that I'm going to share with you, right? It doesn't mean it's going to work for you. The reason why is if you're not real, if you're not a real follower of the Most High, it's not going to work for you. Do you understand me? But this particular show here is for all of you brothers and sisters that are confused, who have questions, who don't know how to move, where to go, what to do. This video is going to give you the blueprint on what you need to do. I'm titling this video, The Mandate vs. Religious Exemption, What You Need to Know. That's right. What you need to know is going to be shared in this video. Now, most of you are aware of exactly what's going on in the world concerning mandates. A lot of you may be out of work. Some of you may have complied and did what you had to do to keep your jobs. Some of you are on the fence. Some of you are on leave without pay. A lot of you may have put in religious exemptions to combat or to avoid complying with this mandate. I want to educate you on what they don't want you to know. Originally, I had this information to myself, and I feel that it's not for me only. This information is for all the brothers on the highways and byways, all you sisters that are in the truth, all of you brothers that are in the truth who are trying to figure it out, trying to wonder what's going on. The Most High is going to give you the answers today. I'm going to give you these answers. The mandate versus religious exemption, what you need to know. First thing first, brothers and sisters, is this. There is a mandate, yes. But we as people of the truth, people who follow the Most High, you must be wise and you must understand that the way you move and what you say is very important. A lot of you are filing for religious exemptions the wrong way because you don't know the scriptures. You don't know what to do. And I'm not going to go into a full detail on what specific scriptures you need to use. You know why I'm not? Because if you are truly following the Most High Yah, you would know the scriptures. That's right. You would know the scriptures. You see, companies are going to follow the mandates to the T. And everyone who works for these companies are going to comply, or you're going to go on leave without pay. That's just the way it's going to be. But for most of you, the religious exemption route may be your option. But are you going to be accepted? Will your requests be accepted? Now, what I'm going to share with you, it can be taken many different ways. The first time I saw this information, my first initial thought was that companies are purposely trying to not give you your religious exemption because of what they are pretty much doing behind the scenes. And the Most High allowed me to find information on what exactly is going on. Most of you that are in the working class, when I share this information with you, you're going to be jumping with joy. Because you're going to say, my goodness, Ringo, you're reading and sharing what I'm going through. And now I know exactly what I need to do. See, that's the whole point of this video. This video is not about nothing else but truth. And that's about it. I want you to be enlightened on what's going on and what you need to do as a people. It's very important. When it comes to filing a religious exemption, it is not a time for you to be talking about things that will only make you look like you are doing this for personal reasons or an opinion or, well, I don't want to comply with the mandate because I just don't want that thing in my body. That's not going to fly in a religious exemption. Brothers and sisters, I'm giving you the keys because many of you are requesting religious exemptions and you don't know what to say. You don't know what to do. And what I'm going to share with you is that companies have attorneys. They have very intelligent people who understand the scriptures. I would go as far to say that these particular people are aware of what the Bible says. They may not even be believers, but their job is to monitor what you say. And if you fall within the threshold of people that pretty much are saying the same thing, certain key phrases, certain ideologies, it will place you in a category of one who truly don't hold any sort of sincerity. Like you're not sincerely holding religious values or beliefs. You're going to automatically place yourself in a pool of people that are just trying to get out of the so-called mandate. In other words, people that are just trying to run and pull a fast one. These companies literally have specialists, attorneys, agents, and different personnel that are going to monitor your exemption, your requests. Most of you have been contacted by your employer to give further information regarding your beliefs. Some of you who are in the clouds, you're shaking your head in shock as to how did I know that? Well, I'm a working man. I should. But at the same time, we're going to get into a whole host of information. I'm going to try to keep this video short, but at the end of the day, this is a teaching moment. And I know that this video is going to be viewed a lot because a lot of people are going to want to know about these religious exemptions, the mandate, and what they need to know. So many of you may be in the process of trying to obtain a religious exemption. You may be a part of a church. You may be a part of a mosque, or whatever your faith may be. You may have got an exemption letter from your pastor, a preacher, a bishop, whatever have you. That might be good, but that is not enough. It's not going to be enough, people. That's the beginning point. That's the start. That's the start of the process. And the reason why I say that's not going to hold is because anybody can go out there and get a letter from a preacher or a pastor in whom they don't even know. So that doesn't mean that a company or your employer is going to approve your religious exemption. How do they know that you are sincerely holding certain religious beliefs? How do they know you are sincere? How? Just because a pastor or preacher wrote you an eloquent letter, that does not mean that you are a true believer. It doesn't mean that you really practice what they claimed you do in a letter. How do your employer know that you are truly one who have certain religious beliefs? Well, they have a system in place that they are following, and I'm going to reveal that system to you. People, this video is divinely from the Most High Yah. What I'm sharing with you is information that the Most High give me, because I follow the Most High, and He protects me, and He provides. At the same time, me giving you this info, it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. The only people that this info will work for are true believers who have and hold sincerely beliefs in practices in terms of their faith. Only you folks will be able to prevail because the system is rigged. The system is set up for you to fail. I want you to understand that. Many people have filed religious exemptions and have been denied. And the reason why you've been denied is because you fell into a category of people that are saying the same thing. And I'm going to try my best to help you to understand what to do. But at the end of the day, if you don't know your Bible and you are truly not practicing what you claim you believe in, then you're going to fail in this process. I'm letting you know. Because they are monitoring you. They are monitoring your actions, and they're going to want to prove and know if you are sincerely holding religious beliefs and practices that you hold dear. That's the only way you are going to receive an exemption status. Because if you truly don't hold these beliefs, they're not going to grant it. They're not going to give you no reasonable accommodations if you are not a true believer who can prove that you are who you say you are. See, your pastor can say one thing, but that doesn't mean you're a true believer. Now, what exactly is all of this and what does it mean? Let me tell you. Your employer have a way of vetting you when it comes to religious objections in terms of receiving what we call in this space the pointy thing. A lot of you are filing religious exemptions and you're doing it out of mere, well, I just don't want to take the pointy thing because I just don't want to because I believe in God. That is not going to hold up for a religious exemption. You have to prove that your religious beliefs in the Bible is being violated in some shape or form, somehow, that through the mandate that you are pretty much being restricted in some way, that the mandate is causing you and your household some sort of issues that goes against your faith. Now, I already done know what I've done. I already done know what I had to do and what I had to say, because I know the scriptures and I understand what's going on in this world. So I already done know what my position is, and I'm pretty confident in my results because I already done know what I have to do, because the Most High showed me what I have to do. And he showed me what the powers that be is doing. He showed me what employers are doing. Employers have what is known as a set of words and phrases that people will use when trying to opt out of participating in the mandate. If your exemption letter and or conversations with your employer have any sort of words or phrases that show a pattern of you not wanting to comply with a vaccine or a mandate or, some sort of, compliance to your job in order to maintain employment, if it is based upon a mere opinion, or I just don't feel like doing that because of what I heard online, that is not going to give you a religious exemption. You will be denied, because what you're displaying is that you truly don't have a belief and you don't have no faith. Their system is set up to vet fakes. So if you're a person that's viewing this and you're a fake, a fraud, a person who don't follow the Most High, but you think that because you're watching this video, you're going to gain information that's going to help you get an exemption status due to the mandate, it's not going to work for you. I'm letting you know it's not going to work for you, because you're going to say all the wrong things and they're going to know you're fake. Because if you're truly a believer, you would know the scriptures. You would know the Bible. You would know what you need to say and do, because the Most High will lead and direct you. You will follow me. Now, what I'm going to share on the screen is information, and we're going to go through it. We're going to read everything, and I'm going to take you to class, because this is what your employer will use against you. I am giving you clearly a blueprint of what your employer will use against you. And if you are in the spirit, and if you have the Most High, this is going to be great news for you. Why? Because you're going to know what your employer is doing and what they're looking for and what they're really doing behind the scenes. What you need to do is come up with what your beliefs are. And only you would know that. I cannot tell you what to do, because I'm not you. If you're a true believer in the Most High and you're a follower of Christ, then you should know your Bible and understand your faith. And if you don't, it's because you don't read the Bible and you truly don't hold or practice what the book says. Therefore, this is not going to work for you. Now, let's get into this. On the screen is the information that you need to know. It says, an employer's 3-step guide to responding to COVID-19 vaccine religious objections. Now, this information is what your employer will use to vet anyone who put in an exemption request for reasonable accommodations concerning this mandate. And again, people, I need for you to understand what I am saying here. If you are just a person who just says to yourself, I'm not taking this and I'm not getting that because I just don't want that, that is not going to fly when it comes to a religious exemption. You have to prove your religious beliefs and how and why you should be exempt from taking this due to your religious beliefs. What about your religious beliefs says or imply that this mandate and what it's asking of you is affecting your faith and belief system? You got to be able to prove that. And if you come with the typical talking points that many people say in letters and whatnot, it's not going to work for you. You have a lot of people that are going around saying, well, the reason why I'm not going to take the pointy thing is because I heard that it have some sort of fetal, whatever, parts or aborted material or whatever the case is in the pointy thing. People, that talking point is not gonna fly. So if you're coming with that, I'm here to tell you your exemption will be denied. It will be denied because what you are saying is what you heard. You need to focus on your belief system, your religious beliefs, because if you make it all about the pointy thing, they know what you're really about. You're just trying to opt out of taking it because you just don't want to take it. I'm trying to give you wisdom here. This is not about the pointy thing. What I'm trying to stir you up on is understanding your belief system. What are your religious beliefs? What is your faith? How can you articulate that to your employer so they understand verbatim what and how you live? Can you prove and convince your employer that the mandate is really affecting your beliefs? If you can prove that, they have no choice but to accept your exemption because it falls under the law that protects you. And we're going to get into that right now. Let's go through this. It says, follow. As the Delta variant surges throughout the country, more and more employers are implementing mandatory vaccine policies, especially now that the Pfizer vaccine has received full FDA approval. Most employers know they may need to make reasonable accommodations to the mandatory vaccine plan under the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, because of an employee's disability. But what about an employee's religious objection to a COVID-19 vaccine? How can you respond to an employee's request for an exemption based on religion without running astray of state and federal anti-discrimination laws, but while still upholding your workplace safety goals? Here is your 3-step plan for responding to requests for religious exemptions. As you can see, this information is for companies to deal with folks that place in a religious exemption request. They're trying to give companies the 411 on how to maneuver around different laws so that they are able to still comply with the mandates while making their companies a safe working environment. Do you follow me? So what we're going to read further is more information. And I want you to gather this information and review this because it's very important, brothers and sisters. It says the following. Note, this insight focuses on federal law. employers should be aware that there may be state-specific laws that may need to be considered in this analysis as well. In other words, this is not a game. Your employer have to understand the laws at hand. They have to understand your rights, the Constitution. They have to understand a lot of different things. This 3-step guide is designed to help them to navigate around laws to make the best possible decisions on how to vet people that are truly sincere from people that just want an exemption because they just don't want to participate in the mandate. Do you understand me? So this can be looked at from multiple angles. It could be looked at as a company that is trying to get the best possible counsel on how to deal with these issues to maintain a strong workforce and protect their employees, while at the same time providing reasonable accommodations for people that hold sincere religious values. But how do you know everybody that filed for these requests are really sincere? How do you know that? Well, this 3-step guide gives your employer the ability to vet you to prove whether or not you're really sincere. Now, it says step 1, decide whether the objection is based on a personal choice or a sincerely held religious belief. People, this is where you mess up because you're focusing on a personal choice. That's not going to work in a religious exemption because what they're looking for is sincerely held religious beliefs, not your personal choice. So if you come in with a religious exemption request about your personal choice is this and your personal choice is that, it's not going to work. It's not going to work because that doesn't prove that you hold sincerely held religious beliefs that are being challenged and violated by the mandate. Can you prove by your faith that the mandate is actually affecting your religious practices? Can you prove that? Can you make a believer out of your employer? It goes on and it says, the threshold inquiry to any request for a religious accommodation under Title VII is whether the employee has a sincerely held religious belief, practice, or observance which prevents them from receiving the vaccine. Do you see the difference, people? So they're going to try to prove and test you and vet you to see if you hold sincerely held religious beliefs, practices, or observances which prevents them, which is you, from receiving the vaccine. Can you prove that? Under federal law, sincerely held religious beliefs include moral or ethical beliefs as to what is right and wrong, which are sincerely held with the strength of traditional religious views. Very, very powerful statement. Moreover, the term religion includes all aspects of religious observances and practice, as well as belief. But this doesn't mean that an employee can get a free pass just because they personally or philosophically do not agree with receiving the vaccine. See, if you're one of those people that just says, well, I don't agree with receiving the vaccine, your religious exemption will be denied. It's not going to hold. It's not going to hold, people. Right? It's not going to hold because you're just one of those folks who just says, well, I don't agree with that. I just don't agree. Well, that's not a religious belief. You understand? You have to prove yourself. This is going to show whether or not you really following the Most High. See, it goes on and it says, the U.S. Supreme Court has differentiated religious beliefs from those personal beliefs that are essentially political, sociological, and or philosophical. We know it can be difficult for an employer to discern religious beliefs from personal ones. Obviously, because, they don't hold your religious beliefs. They may not even understand the Bible or the Quran or the Hadith. They may not understand your traditions, whether you are Hindu, whatever your ideology is, whatever your faith is. Your employer may not know what your beliefs are. So for them to discern between political and personal views from religious beliefs, it's going to be a challenge. So this 3-step guide is designed for them to vet who you really are. And the only people that's going to be able to prevail are people who truly hold certain beliefs. Now, it goes on and says, we know it can be difficult for an employer to discern religious beliefs from personal ones, and it is often a tough choice to decide whether to challenge an accommodation request based on your conclusion that this purported religious belief could actually be a personal choice. See that? You should generally assume that an employee's stated religious beliefs is sincerely held unless you have a good faith and objective basis for questioning the religious nature or the sincerity of the stated belief. Some examples of when this question might be properly triggered is if the employee recently adopted this belief system in response to your vaccine mandate or acquired a religious certification from a church they found online. Do you see that, people? See, I'm giving you the blueprint of exactly what they know. They know a lot of you that are pretty much either real or fake. You may end up finding letters online that are pretty much written up. All you gotta do is print them out. And they know you might turn that in. That doesn't mean you hold some sort of faith. Do you understand? They know that. They know that some of you may have pretty much is trying to act like you're a Christian, an Israelite, or, a Muslim overnight. In other words, you're trying to hold certain beliefs. Some of you are going to act like you're of the Moors and you're of an indigenous people. All of a sudden now, you're going to act like you're doing this. Right? So your employer is going to try to use these methods to vet if you're truly a real person who have sincerely held religious views. And you're going to have to prove that. Now, it goes on and it says, if the employee's purported reason is based on their distrust of the vaccine or a philosophical news article they read online, that will likely not rise to the level of sincerely held religious beliefs. I'm giving y'all the 411. Get the likes up on this video, fam. Real talk. Do you see that? It's not going to rise to the level of sincerely held religious beliefs because here's the thing. You just a person who just don't trust the vaccine. Or you just read a news article and that shaped your thinking. So you really don't hold no religious beliefs. So why are you filing religious exemption? See, you're just doing that to get out of the mandate. See? So under those circumstances, your employer is not going to grant you exemption because they're going to be able to find out that you're a fraud. See that? Now, it goes on to say, let me see where we at. It says, all right, final on. If the employee's purported reason is based upon their distrust of the vaccine or a philosophical news article they read online, that will likely not rise to the level of sincerely held religious beliefs. But don't make the assumption right away. In other words, they're telling the company Don't make the assumption right away. Instead, your questions regarding the employee's stated belief for the exemption should be answered through an interactive process. In other words, what your company is going to do is request more information to further understand how to judge your religious requests for exemption. How many of you are in that boat right now? Right? So it goes on and it says, instead, your questions regarding the employee's stated belief for the exemption should be answered through an interactive process with the employee, in which you may be able to, in some circumstances, request additional information or documentation from the employee. Now that's step one. How many of you may have been through that step already, where your employer is asking you for additional information regarding your beliefs? Are you able to pretty much respond? Or are you fumbling around and confusing because you don't know what to say because you really don't hold any religious beliefs? Again, this video is for the people that are real, the people that are truly following the Most High Yah, who understand the scriptures. Now, step two. Step two says the following: engaged in the interactive process. This is another method that your employer will implement. And understand, your employer have an investigative department. Their job is to do these things. This department consists of attorneys, counsel. You might even have people who know the scriptures. You might even have different people that they can call to verify certain religious practices and beliefs. So they're going to find out if you're real. It says engage in the interactive process. If you conclude that the employee's objection to the mandate is or could be grounded in an actual sincerely held religious belief, that doesn't mean the worker gets to automatic skip the vaccine and resume work as normal. Do you see that, people? See that? Even if they can find that you truly do hold these values, it still doesn't mean the worker gets to automatically skip the vaccine and resume work as normal. They can still find a way around a loophole to deny you. So it's very important for you to understand this. Now, it goes on and it says the following: the second step is to engage in what's known as the interactive process. If an employee requests to be exempt from your mandatory vaccination policy due to religious beliefs, you are allowed to and should engage in an interactive dialogue with the employee to determine what reasonable accommodations, if any, may be suitable for them and your organization. Wow. It goes on and it says, part of this process may entail requesting further information from the employee regarding their faith system in order to determine whether it is in fact a sincerely held religious belief. This is where a lot of you mess up, because you're not providing your belief. You're just going off of personal opinions and fears. You got to be able to speak in a manner and quote and cite scripture references that deals with your belief. You understand? Right? Now, it goes on and it says, let me see, part of this process may entail, all right, I got that part already. Beyond that, you are permitted to tailor specific questions to your employee in order to address the unique circumstances involved with their request, right? And your work environment, right? I think I skipped something, right? I think I did skip something. Yeah, I did skip something. Let me see. Did I skip something? I'm not sure. I got probably a little ahead of myself. I'm going to read it from the top at part. Let's see. It may, if any, may be suitable for them and your organization. All right, I'm going to start from the next paragraph. Part of this process may entail requesting further information from the employee regarding their faith system in order to determine whether it is, in fact, a sincerely held religious belief. Beyond that, you are permitted to tailor specific questions to your employee in order to address the unique circumstances involved with their request and your work environment. Regardless of the questions you pose, your interactive process should be well documented, which means they're going to document everything you say and do. Right? And they're going to be very specific in what they're asking for. Now, process should be well documented so you clearly prove the steps you took. This includes initially providing the employee with a reasonable accommodation request form, tailored and adjusted for your business needs and the specific circumstances at play, and ultimately documenting any reasonable accommodations offered to and accepted/rejected by the employee. In other words, you're going to be put in a position where they're going to offer you something. They're going to offer you a deal. They're going to offer you certain reasonable accommodations. If you pretty much want to reject this and reject that and say, well, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, you're also setting yourself up for your employer to literally let you go. Right? It's a lot of things you must understand, people. A lot of stuff you have to understand. Clearly prove steps you took. This include initially providing the employee with a reasonable accommodation request form, tailored and adjusted for your business needs and the specific circumstances at play, and ultimately documenting any reasonable accommodations offered to and accepted/rejected by the employee. Whenever possible, one person or team of people should be assigned to handle such requests in order to ensure the consistent treatment of accommodation request and the interactive process, right? It goes on to say, you should also ensure that all of your managers are trained in how to recognize requests for religious accommodations and that these requests are forwarded immediately to an assigned religious accommodation liaison or team people. They have a lot of personnel and counsel that are looking over all of these things, people. You cannot pull a fast one. You have to be sincere. This is why this is only going to work for a real believer. And sometimes you could be a real believer and it don't work because you really don't know your scriptures, which is a shame. You know, you have to understand your scriptures, man. Now, step 3. Step 3 goes as follows. Make a decision on the accommodation request. At this point, they have to make a decision based on everything you provided. It goes on and it says, once you have all the information in hand, your final step is making a decision on how to respond to the request. There are a few key principles your organization should understand before going further. First, you may end up concluding that there are no accommodations that are reasonable in nature that you can offer the employee, or that any workable accommodations they identify would cause an undue hardship. That's one way they can do things. Second, even if one or more reasonable accommodations are identified, you are not obligated to provide the specific accommodation requested by the employee. if you identify and offer them an effective alternative. Third, you don't need to feel locked into whatever choice you end up making. You could grant an accommodation request and soon realize it's not workable for some objective reason that you also document. The law permits you to revisit accommodation requests and adjust as necessary, which means your employer can grant your exemption and give you reasonable accommodations, right? But at the same time, your employer can make adjustments if necessary, if it's affecting the business and company. It goes on and it says, once you decided it's time to determine what types of accommodations, if any, might be possible, you should take into account your particular work environment. Reasonable accommodations in this context may include requiring the employee to wear a mask at all times, weekly or bi-weekly COVID-19 testing, working at a social distance from other employees, a reassignment to another vacant and available position, unpaid leave, or a combination of these options. Take the employee's input into account and make a decision about which accommodations you will provide. That's how these companies will do this, people. This is the process I'm providing for you. If the employee refuses all options you offered to them, hold out for an accommodation of their choosing that you have decided is not reasonable. You may have no choice but to exclude them from the workplace. So now what does that mean? If your employer offer you, let's say, for example, you provided everything for your reasonable accommodations for your exemption, and your employer say, well, what we will do is you can continue employment, you can continue to come to work, but what we're going to have you do is you're going to have to get a bi-weekly, PCR test, and that's pretty much our reasonable accommodations. In other words, we'll still allow you to work. At the same time, you're going to have to get this PCR test every 2 weeks rather than weekly, every 2 weeks, and just provide that as proof that you are, you're not affected by any sort of COVID-19 or whatever the case may be. If they provide that reasonable accommodation for you, or say, well, you got to wear a mask every day, meaning that that's what you got to do from now on. You just got to wear a mask. And you refuse to do that and say, well, no, I believe in my religious beliefs. I'm not wearing no mask. I'm not doing no testing. I should be exempt from all of that. Your company at this point, your employer, can literally let you go. That's right. So you better be mindful of that. They can let you go. Yes, indeed. Now, it goes on. It says, you may have no choice but to exclude them from the workplace. You might be in a situation where you would place them on an unpaid leave or absence until circumstances surrounding the pandemic change and permit the safe return of unvaccinated workers, which mean a lot of you that may be out of work right now or on unpaid leave, you may be in a position right now where if circumstances change, you may be permitted to come back, just like how they have the stop that the Court of Appeals have stopped Biden's mandate. It put it on freeze. Well, under those circumstances, you may get a call back from your employer to come to work, which is a good thing for you, right? But now, if you're a person who is on the ropes and you're going through the process of your exemption status, even though they did the freeze, still put in your information. If they ask you for information, still put whatever you got to put in and explain your belief. Explain it in clear detail on what and how it affects you and why taking the pointy thing is not going to be beneficial to you based on your religious beliefs. You would have to be able to prove that. And if you can't, you're not going to be accepted. Right? Now, it goes on and it says, you have one final consideration to make in determining if a religious accommodation can be made. The last step is determining whether the specific accommodation request made by the employee or the only accommodation request you can identify causes undue hardship. In other words, if your employer accommodate you, but it's causing the company undue hardship, that can be an issue. It goes on and it says, an undue hardship is one that would require more than a de minimis cost or burden to your organization or the operations of your business. This is a lower standard to meet than the undue burden standard under the ADA, which is significant difficulty or expense. It's basically trying to say that if the company is suffering in certain losses and certain issues, it can affect business. It goes on and says, besides the monetary cost, the safety risk imposed by the requested accommodation also plays a factor in determining undue hardship, right? Note that some state laws, like California, may have a higher standard for proven undue hardship than is required under federal law. Please check with your local Fisher Phillips attorney before proceeding. See, your company, your employer, trust and believe, they're getting a lot of counsel from attorneys and different folks that understand law to determine how they're going to move with you, right? Now, it goes on and it says, the determination of whether a specific request would pose an undue hardship is fact-specific and may change as your workforce changes. For example, a particular reasonable accommodation request, such as isolation to a particular room or temporary unpaid leave of absence, may not normally be unpaid undue hardship. However, these accommodations may prove to create an undue hardship if there are an inordinate number of individuals making accommodation requests. In other words, if a company have, let's say, 100 employees, and out of the 100 employees, 60 of them are putting in religious exemption requests, that's going to cause a lot of problems for that company. Do you understand me? Because now they're going to have to try to figure out how they're going to do this mess, right? It goes on and it says religious or medical, such that your business operations shift over time. If you determine that the particular accommodation requested by the employee will cause an undue hardship and or unable to find an alternative accommodation through the interactive process, the next step may be to consider placing the employee on unpaid leave of absence or separation of employment. We recommend contacting employment counsel prior to taking this next step. Now, why do they got to get counsel? Because remember, if they make any mistakes during these process, it can be a lawsuit. It can be a lawsuit for them violating your religious freedoms and your religious rights. Now, it goes on and says, conclusion, we will continue to monitor developments regarding the COVID-19 vaccines and related workplace questions that arise. Make sure you are subscribed to Fisher Phillips Insight System, and pretty much they're just promoting the site and so forth. You can see it and read it on the screen. Now, that being said, I hope everybody learned something from this video here. Again, I have a moral obligation from the Most High to share that information with you because I feel some type of way to have that information in my possession. And I know that a lot of you out there may not understand what your employer is actually doing behind the scenes. So my point here is to give you an insight of how your employer see you, what they're doing. So when they're questioning you, you know exactly how to respond. But now here's the thing. I'm not going to tell you how to respond. Because if you're truly following the Most High Yah, you should know and understand your faith and how to move. If you don't know the Bible and you don't know your own belief system, then you need to stop. Don't even waste your time putting in an exemption status if you don't follow and have sincerely held religious beliefs. Because we have enough people out here being phony. And this is one of the reasons why it's very difficult for people to secure their religious freedoms and have exemptions, because there are too many people filing false claims. A lot of people out there become Christians overnight. And here's the thing. A lot of you will come in trying to get a religious exemption, claiming that you're a Christian and you don't believe in that. And then when they go do a background check, and they may even call up a church, and your church might even tell the people involved that they accept X, Y, and Z. And now that's going to cause you to be denied. See, so you would have to have specific religious beliefs. Listen, people, you could be a part of a church, right? Let's say, for example, you're a part of a church and your church accept the pointy thing. They don't have a problem with it, right? Even though you may attend that church, right? You can still file a religious exemption, and you must state your religious beliefs to your employer when they request more information. Because here's the thing. Just because you are a part of a church that may accept the pointy thing as no issues, they still have to accept your religious exemption if you hold certain beliefs that are sincere. Why I say this? Because everybody is at different levels when it comes to faith. Everybody is at different levels when it comes to the word of the Most High Yah. You might have a certain belief in a certain part of the Bible and a certain part of X, Y, and Z that your pastor don't even understand at this point. Do you understand me? So it's up to you to be able to stand your ground and explain in detail what are your core values and why this mandate is affecting you and your family, and how it's causing issues between you and your God. Because your religious freedoms and beliefs are protected under Title 7. You have to understand that, people. So for all the folks out there that are truly followers of Christ, people that truly are righteous, I hope that this video gave you a blueprint on what you need to understand concerning what your employer is doing behind the scenes when you send in a religious exemption. They're gonna request more information from you. People, listen to me very carefully as I give you some instructions. If your employer is asking for additional information and you don't provide it, I'm here to tell you, they are going to deny your requests. Don't do that. When your employer is asking for additional information, it is designed to vet you, to see and prove who you are. By you denying to provide them with what they're asking, right? You know what you're saying? You're telling your employer that you really don't know your own belief system. You're telling them that you're a fraud. You're telling them that whatever letter you gave them, it was made up, that you really don't hold any sincere beliefs. Because if you truly have a passion for your God, your faith, and your beliefs, you will be able to stand your ground in front of your employer, whether through email or whatever process they have, and be able to articulate with excellence and a surety that you hold certain beliefs. And once they see the sincerity in your tone, in your letter, in your email, they have no choice but to accept your exemption status. People, this video is made out of love and concern for those out there that may have been through a struggle during these dark times. I hope that through this video, it finds you peace and it gives you courage to be able to move forward, and it gives you answers in these dark times. That being said, I'm going to leave comments open for this particular video. So if you want to share your comments and thoughts about this particular video, you can leave it in the comment sections. I will be monitoring my comments and make sure that comments are clean. Normally, I don't have comments on my videos because I want people to join my chat, to join the channel and participate. And I really don't want to have trolls and people coming into my comments, flooding it with their ideology and other agendas, because it says a lot about my channel if I have a lot of people that's just posting random things that are crazy in the comment section. So I prefer to have it in the chat where I know the individuals that are in the chat, and I'm able to have a clean environment where people can see and enjoy and have fun on the channel. That being said, again, this video was made out of the goodness of my heart because I felt compelled to share this information with the family, with the people of God, so that you have a blueprint of what to do. This information is not to undermine any sort of mandate. This information is not designed to use in a way to get around a certain system. This particular information is not even about the so-called pointy thing. This is about you expressing your religious beliefs to show your employer that you truly hold sincere beliefs. So as you move forward, as you go through the process, I want you to make sure that you know your faith and that you understand what you're doing. This is not about you focusing on the pointy thing. Don't spend no time focused on the pointy thing. Focus on your beliefs and how the pointy thing is going against what your beliefs are, and how it puts you in a position where you're unable to practice your faith. These are the things you have to be able to prove. Do you understand me? It cannot be, well, I just don't want to accept it because I heard on the news that so-and-so and so. No, that's not going to fly, folks. It's not going to fly. This is not about your personal choice. This is not about no opinions. This is about your religious beliefs that you hold sincerely. That being said, we are in a time where changes are being made, but at the same time, you need to stay on your square. We know that based on the circumstances and the news reports that the mandate has been frozen. Being that it has been frozen, your employer typically cannot force you or penalize you or keep you out of work at this point. They have to call you back. They have to. You can literally go to work. If you are on unpaid leave, you can literally go to work, and they got to accept you back based on the Court of Appeals freezing the mandate. They can't enforce nothing. It's literally frozen, right? So that being said, leave your comments. Make sure you thumb up the video, folks. Make sure you thumb up the likes on this video. This video is very powerful. You're not going to find no video like this on YouTube. I guarantee you. This video is from the Most High Yah. He gave me this information personally. You know what I mean? I communicated this information with other brothers behind the scenes. But I wanted to put this video out there for all the brothers and sisters, all of you who are in the faith, because I have a moral obligation to share the truth. And it would be unbecoming of me to hide this information and keep it for myself while others suffer. No, I'm not going to do that. That being said, make sure you like the content, support the platform, and I'll catch you all in the next video. I'm out, y'all. Peace and blessings.
If you like our content, consider supporting via Cash App at $RingoTV Raw. Become a patron on patreon.com for exclusive video content not shown on YouTube. You could also support through PayPal at paypal.me/RingoTVRaw. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell to be notified of new content. Follow me on Instagram at RingoTVRaw.
This is Black Male Advice TV, the only channel on YouTube bringing you the truth 100% raw and uncut.